A 5-0 win for the host nation, Russia, over Saudi Arabia. And for all the negativity that Russia went through and the whole stigma of being the lowest ranked FIFA team going into the World Cup and the worries that some of the fans had, they looked pretty comfortable to me. But you, of course, are the expert on this. How impressive were they for you?
Well, I think they had a game plan, and the game plan was, look, don't worry about possession. Let's use what we have. We're going to press high when Saudi Arabia give us the opportunity. We're going to then go straight for goal, and we're going to try to score. And it wasn't a case of, and Saudi kind of played right into that. They wanted to kind of try to keep possession, try to play out of the back, which they really weren't up to the task. And they gave opportunity after opportunity. You just kept seeing possession being given away in difficult spots. And I think for sections of the first half, I think Russia were sloppy at times. I think if they'd been a little more clinical, and it could have been even worse. But then as it progressed and the pressure was let off as they got the second, as they got the third, then they just piled it on.
Well, now we like to get very excited after 5-0 wins, and I'm sure everybody is, but just put into context the significance of a win like this, because with all due respect to Saudi Arabia, they weren't exactly a tough team to come up against for Russia today. So just how would you rank this win for Russia then?
Well, I think the Russia's huge. You're at home. You're 7 games coming into the tournament without a victory. Now, granted, you're the host nation, so all the top countries in the world want to play you. So they were playing, Germany and Argentina, and I mean, they were playing the favorites. Again, reading into that is difficult, because you're saying, okay, yes, Russia aren't a great team, and they're not a team that you're going to think they're going to host and have a chance of winning this tournament.
But how far do you think they can go, though, now that they've gotten such a brilliant start?
I still think they're going to get out of their group stage, but I think it's after that. I still think it's going to be difficult for Russia, but it's not all as doom and gloom as people were predicting. And as you know how the FIFA rankings work, you don't play a competitive match in 2 years because you're the host nation and you get in. So that weighs on the ranking system. So they're not 73rd country in the world. So a lot of that negativity was false, and but it's great little storylines for people to jump on, and obviously this Russian team and with Jagoev going off early, who was their big hope to be a big goal scoring threat with the pulled hamstring, and then the sub comes in and scores 2 goals. You can't. Cherchesov obviously has to be happy with the decisions he's made by bringing subs in, and they're scoring goals and making a big difference.
So a dream start to the World Cup for Russia, and make sure to tune into ESPN FC throughout the entire World Cup and onwards on the ESPN Plus app. But join us tomorrow for ESPN FC on ESPN2 at 5.
Muchas gracias, Real Madrid, por la confianza que me habéis brindado, por la responsabilidad que asumo con muchísimo orgullo y también con mucha fuerza. Sea al club que vengo, sé que es la máxima exigencia. Aquí todo no vale, con lo cual vamos a tratar de dar lo mejor absolutamente de nosotros, sin ningún tipo de duda. Vamos a luchar por estar a la altura de la historia del club e incluso por mejorarla. No tengo ninguna duda que por trabajo no va a quedar. Me siento capacitado para tamaña aventura. Y además siento, desde que he entrado al club, a la ciudad deportiva, siento esa fuerza que acompaña al Real Madrid, esa fuerza, esa energía, que estoy seguro que como entrenador me va a hacer falta, porque hay que tenerla en este club, y sin ninguna duda la vamos a utilizar en aras de seguir creciendo futbolísticamente, gestionando el gran patrimonio de jugadores que tenemos y estando al lado de uno del otro, de conseguir llegar a las cimas más altas, que son ganar todo. El Real Madrid aspira a ganar todo y aspiraremos a ganar todo. A partir de ahí, nuevamente reiterar las gracias a todos. Me siento parte de la familia del Real Madrid y, insisto, ayer fue un día, posiblemente desde la muerte de mi madre, el más triste de mi vida. es el día más feliz de mi vida. Muchas gracias y estoy a disposición de lo que queráis.
Making their predictions as to who will win the World Cup. Robbo, the latest. Well, that is until now. As it up steps, Mr. Casey Keller, it's your turn, Casey. Let's start off, as always, with the group stages. Yes. You got a little bit of a run on everyone. Russia, of course, after that win. You got them going through Uruguay.
I'd actually picked it before the match.
Yeah, exactly. Spain, Portugal, France, Peru over Denmark.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, I just felt that maybe Peru were going to do something.
Argentina, Croatia. Meanwhile, let's take it through to the remaining groups, Brazil, Serbia. No Mexico for you.
No, I like what Sweden did out of a tough group and then beating Italy. I think.
Aren't you supposed to be supporting Mexico?
No chance ever.
Belgium, England, and then Colombia, Poland. So that then sets up our bracket for the knockout stages. Let's start off on this side, shall we? Spain or Russia?
Spain.
You can press it, Casey.
Okay, I think, yeah, look, I think Spain has a chance of winning the whole
tournament. And then you press
tournament.
that bit there, and it goes through there. Perfect.
Right there.
Okay, Argentina.
Argentina are going there.
Because you pressed Spain before, right? Here we go. Spain, Argentina, Germany, Serbia.
Germany.
No, don't put it up there.
I want to put it here.
Colombia, England.
I'm sorry, I think England's coming.
Why?
And I know it's happening.
There you go. Don't worry, Case. I'll sort it out.
Why don't you just do this?
Let's take it on the other side. Uruguay, Portugal.
I think Uruguay's going to beat Portugal.
Uruguay to beat Portugal. France, Croatia, meanwhile.
I think Croatia is going to beat.
Really? Why?
Yes, because, I don't know, France, I thought the U.S. had a great performance the other day with a young team, but I just don't think France are as good as everybody thinks they are.
Wow, okay. Brazil, Sweden.
Brazil.
Oh, that was easy.
Yes.
Belgium, Poland.
I think Belgium's going to come through.
You've got to press it again. And again.
There it goes.
And that bit there.
Thank you.
There we go. Right, let's take it into the quarterfinals. Uruguay or Croatia?
Ooh. I think Croatia.
Croatia? You like a bit of Croatia?
I do.
What's wrong with your hands?
I don't
Put your
know.
gloves on.
I know, I need to put some gloves on.
Okay, meanwhile,
and then this is,
Brazil,
yep, I think Brazil get through. And Brazil.
Right, Brazil, Croatia, one in the semi-finals. Let's take it through to the other side then. Spain, Argentina.
Spain are coming through.
Spain?
Yep, you can hit that.
Have you given up now?
I have.
Germany, Colombia?
Germany.
Right then. That is some tasty semi-finals.
Thank you.
Then. Let's take it through down here. Spain or Germany?
Spain. I have Spain winning it. So.
Oh, well, don't spoil it.
And then Brazil.
And then Spain.
Spain beating Brazil. Even
what about
with
the turmoil?
I don't know. I think it's gonna galvanize the team.
You think so? It's
Yes.
going to bring them together.
Correct.
Spain then to win the 2018 World Cup, according to playing at Atletico Madrid. But boy, did he make a big song and dance about it. A half-an-hour documentary depicting why he decided to stay at Atleti was published today. But in the end, he will remain in Madrid and not go to Barcelona, which of course was speculation.
Well, that's his choice, but I mean, the way he's gone about it is just a joke. I mean, what an absolute joke. He's been over this. I mean, he's eating himself, isn't he? I mean, he's looking in the mirror and going, I'm having you. You're great. You must be looking every morning, can't wait to get down and look at yourself in the mirror. I mean, come on.
It's extraordinary. And just before the World Cup as well, like 2 days before you take on Australia.
Yeah. Call me old school, maybe I'm from a different generation, maybe I don't understand social media, maybe I don't know people nowadays, but this is unacceptable. We talked about Lopetegui and the lack of focus on what it was in front of him. It's the same thing with Antoine Griezmann. Look, man, just make your decision, tell us what it is, and let's move on. Everybody wants to move on from this. We don't want to talk about this anymore, and certainly not about a video. Come on, Antoine Griezmann, you are not that good.
He's going to make a lot of money staying at Atleti. Is it the right decision?
I said it probably was the right decision a couple of days ago. I think he suits Atletico's play well. He knows the manager well. He knows the system. He's going to play with Diego Costa. They've got a good understanding. If he went to Barcelona, I'm not sure he would have fitted in there. So I think it's the right decision for him to make. He just went about it the wrong way.
But is it an ego trip not going to Barcelona and being not the center of attention?
Right.
Where at Atletico, you're the center of attention and you can kind of tell everybody that you're one of the best players in the world, and where obviously if Messi's there and Suarez is there, and it's a different story.
He's so important that he's got to make this video. He's so full of himself he's got to make this video, but he's not full of himself enough to make the big move. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, because you get one
World Cup, doesn't he, to prove himself?
Well, he does, but you generally get one big chance, and Barcelona could have been any of the real big boys, and he was full of himself enough to keep everybody hanging on with all this stupidity, but not overconfident enough to make the move and go in with Messi and Suarez and play.
And a game that many thought would be nervy, maybe just the one goal in it. Well, boy, were they proved wrong. Russia completely destroying Saudi Arabia by 5-0. Denis Cheryshev being very much the star of the show, coming off the bench and getting a brace. 2 lovely goals as well. Why did this not turn out to be what we expected it to be?
What did we expect?
Tight, nervy, 1-0, 2-0, that sort of match.
There's a very easy answer to that, because Saudi Arabia were abysmal. Garbage. And the Russians actually played all right. But look, they scored some great goals. You got to and it's I think the biggest goal-scoring start to an opening game, I think, in the history.
Stato.
Yeah, I saw that. But the reason for that is Saudi Arabia. So you've got to temper how well Russia played with their opponents. That being said, the nerves for the home players in front of their home crowd, great start for them.
It was a great start. Some lovely goals, some good football in it all.
And they understood exactly how Saudi Arabia were going to play. Saudi Arabia wanted to play out from the back. They wanted to play him to midfield. They didn't do it particularly well. Gazinski, who scored the first goal, kept on closing down, winning the ball back. It helped actually when the number 9, who was playing just in behind, went off. And then the Golovin went into a position in behind the main strikers. He added that bit of pace. I thought he was excellent. He had a magnificent game. Great cross for the 4th goal, the free kick as well. He looks to be a star.
We didn't see this coming. 7 games without a win leading to this tournament. They look dreadful. We're like, oh, these hosts could be joining South Africa as the only teams not to advance who are hosting the World Cup.
I think some of that issue was, look at the teams that they played against in those 7 games. They were playing some of the favorites of the World Cup. When you're hosting the tournament, all the big teams want to come play you. And then they accommodated that. And then I think at times, too, when you don't have a competitive match for a long stretch, you get into that cycle of just, well, we're looking at these guys and we're doing this, and there's just not that edge. So I think the Russian team is...
A lot of injuries as well.
They did have that. When they had to bring Ignashevich back out of retirement from the national team because they had so many injuries in the back, they needed something. But at the same time, I don't think they were as bad as everybody thought they were, or that their ranking is. Look, are they going to win this tournament? No. But they're going to get out of their group and see what happens from there.
But they're not as good as beating 5-0 Saudi Arabia. I mean, look, I understand that they look good today, but I'm not having any of that of Golovin is now somehow going to become a star of this tournament, or Cheryshev is going to be excellent. Russia, there's a reason as to why we were considering them being in trouble in this group. And that is because they're limited. It's a team that has their limitations. In the attack, they're limited. Defensively, they have problems. Akinfeev is the sort of goalkeeper that can make mistakes as well. They're not going to be tested by Saudi Arabia, and of course they were not. And they got off to an early start with the early goal, and that allowed some of that confidence to come in, and Saudi Arabia just simply had nothing in terms of a response. But Russia is not going to go much further than getting out of the group, if they get out of the group.
Well, their big battle is Egypt.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Uruguay should walk the group, should. The big battle for Russia is Egypt. And I don't think that's going to be as simplistic as some might think after today's performance, because this is Saudi Arabia. But am I not right in saying, we just talk about like what friendlies are all about? Did Saudi Arabia not put up a decent fight?
2-1 against Germany.
Well, that tells you how we shouldn't really judge teams in friendlies, because they shouldn't have even put up a fight against Germany in a friendly, which basically tells you Germany couldn't have cared less, right? And we're only thinking about the World Cup, because they could have smashed them by probably 10 goals looking at them today. So, great start from Russia, but I do think people are writing Egypt off. I know there's a whole Mo Salah thing. Is he going to play? Is he not? I think he will. They're much better, I think, than Saudi Arabia.
Russia will have a bigger problem against Egypt, because Russia today played on the counter-attack. They kept on winning the ball back in midfield areas and then tried to play from there. Against Egypt, who defend quite deeply, they've got 2 big centre-halves that soak up pressure, and then they try and play on the counter-attack. If Russia have got the ball, I'm not sure they've got the creativity to open them up. That's when they've got the problem. The 2 midfield players I talked about playing really well in those central areas, they're not particularly good on the ball. They're good at winning it back, good at closing down, but if they have possession, Have they got the ability to find a pass and get it into Golovin?
Yeah, there's no question that Saudi Arabia played right into the hands of Russia and the way Russia wanted to play and just be. I mean, when Saudi Arabia had was like 10, 15% more possession, it was because Russia didn't care. Yeah. Fine, take the ball, give it, and then we're going to go hit you as quick as we can. And if we lose it, no big deal because we're going to.
Egypt coming in at 13-2 to take all 3 points. Is that about right, Annie?
I think it is. Uruguay is a team that is going to make it difficult for Egypt, and defensively Uruguay, I'm telling you, if Mohamed Salah is on the field, they're going to test that shoulder. Right. There's no question. Having played against Godin, having played against Jimenez, these are guys that are physical, and if there is an opportunity, it doesn't have to be dirty. They're going to test the strength of that shoulder. They're going to test the strength of Mohamed Salah and see what he's got. And they're going to test his confidence and see if he trusts his body. If Salah's not right, I think Egypt's limited. And so, and if that's the case, then I feel like Uruguay runs away with this game.
That's a good point, actually. If there is, we shouldn't laugh really, but it's going to happen. Yeah. If there's one group of players that are going to try all the tricks under the book, if he does play to try and get into that shoulder, be barging him off the ball full pace, whatever, shoulder charging him, trying to get him to go down on it, pulling him at corner kicks, all the tricks in the book, this lot are going to do it if it means winning the game.
Salah will play. Apparently, that's what we're hearing. That he's fit and ready to go.
And it suits their style because, again, like I said, Higazi and Garba, the 2 centre-halves, that's where they soak up all the pressure. They try and play on the counter again. They've got holding midfield players. And unless Salah plays, they haven't got great ability elsewhere. We saw Sobhi, I think it is, who plays for Stoke, who plays out on the left-hand side. He's a tricky player, but he hasn't done particularly well for Stoke, and I don't think he's quite good enough to make things happen for Egypt. So I think there's a lot of problems for Egypt. They need Salah to play. And Uruguay, we talked about their defenders. We've talked about their attacking players being really top-class players. But Vecino and Bentancur in midfield are starting to become really good players.
Is he fit? That's the question.
I don't know. I mean, they're saying, he didn't reply.
They're saying he's fit. They're saying he's playing. And look, and I'm sure he's fit enough to get on the field, but is he... There's no way he's 100% and that he's going to be, the player that we've seen all year for Liverpool. So where in that percentage is he? He's not 100%.
How many times have we seen people go to the World Cup, not be fully fit, start the game, not play particularly well, and then don't
it's interesting. There's a point you brought up mentally, like him going into this game. Where is he mentally?
Is he thinking about Liverpool? Is he thinking about next year? Is he thinking about a potential move? Obviously the shoulder, but then the coach, here's the deal. The coach looks round and thinks,
has he got a bad neck?
Yeah. That's me. He looks round and goes, I don't care if your arm's tied behind your back.
Yeah,
you're still better than what we have. Now, are you willing to put yourself out there and potentially take an injury or take a hit? Are you willing to do that? I mean, what is it years since they've been at a World Cup?
Okay, stupid question time. Is there any argument to say that, as you alluded to, Uruguay are going to be rough? They're going to try and test him whenever they can. Is there any argument to say, okay, don't play against Uruguay, we'll save you for Russia against Saudi Arabia, because we know if we win both of those matches, we're almost definitely through?
That is, there is potential for that. Absolutely, 100%. So you can only gauge that if you're inside the camp.
Right.
It would purely depend on how fit he is, which we don't know.
What is true, though, is that Egypt cannot afford to have Mohamed Salah to be on the fringes of the game. If he's on the field, then you have to participate in the play. You have to be the key guy because the whole team is going to look to you. They're going to look to you to break on the counter. They're going to look to you to be the one that gives a change of pace. They're going to look to you to be the one that changes the game. So if he has any doubt in his mind, if mentally, as you just alluded to, he's not ready for this, then there is no part for him in the game. I see a player that is going to doubt whether his shoulder is where it needs to be.
He has to be honest with himself.
Yeah,
as a footballer, you have to be honest with yourself. Well, am I going to go out on the field and give a good display, or am I going to, as you said, be on the fringe?
But surely part of you is also thinking, when am I going to have the opportunity to play in the World Cup again?
Exactly. You can't think if you play badly, once you go on the field, if
you don't go out there, then you never know.
He will know from the training.
But if he plays badly, he already has a built-in excuse. I went out there to try to help my country do something that they haven't done in a long time, and I'm just not quite there.
I think he'd be better off if he could get better in 3 days, or it slightly improves in 3 days, as you just said, maybe be sub for this game and then play in the next 2 games that they think they can probably win, and we'll decide whether they go through to the next round.
I think you'll see if things aren't going well, and maybe they're down 2-0 at halftime, then they take them off and say, hey, let's wrap you up a little bit and get you ready for a couple games.
And by the way, they're playing against a team that has Luis Suarez and has Edinson Cavani, has talent in the attack. So there's more to Uruguay than just Godin and Jimenez being rough in the back and the presence that they have in the midfield. Edinson Cavani can give you something with this team that he doesn't usually do with PSG. He'll work on the outside. Yep. He'll be defending, but also be a presence in the attack. And then Luis Suarez, that on the day, he can score goals with the best of them.
Craig, you're the only one who didn't have Russia getting out of the group.
I think it's going to be tight with Egypt.
Even though, despite what you saw today, and despite what we said about
what did I say today?
We saw them win 5-0.
I've explained the opposition level to you.
Well, is there an issue that then, I mean, because of that superior goal difference, or assumed superior goal difference, that then Russia could go into the game against Egypt and just kind of go, well, we can just scrap out a draw here and know that our goal difference will get us through. So it'll be interesting to see how that match between Egypt and Saudi Arabia.
Officially unveiled in the Spanish capital as the new coach of Real Madrid.
Well, that was quick.
So were his emotions. Yesterday was possibly, since my mother died, the saddest day of my life, but today is the happiest day of my life. It was a really strange press conference. You had like the VIP board in there who were applauding things that Lopetegui and Florentino Perez were saying. There seems to be a very much the rhetoric, certainly from Real Madrid, of them against us. Basically saying, I don't know what all the fuss is about.
Couldn't have just left this press conference and stuff for a little bit, to let the whole thing die down a little bit, let the World Cup start, get that out of the way, and then sort it out from there. But it does seem as if they're kind of rubbing it in the Spanish Federation's face to some extent.
Yeah, Florentino Perez said it was a giant overreaction. Where do you stand?
Well, I think when you look at the political climate of Spain, and you're always having a political climate in the national team anyway, because there's always going to be a large group of Real Madrid players and a large group of Barcelona players. And there's always the competition between the two of them on who's being favored more, who's not being favored, depending on which camp the manager leans. Now, Julian is a guy that has actually played.
Julian, first name, because of course you
we
played with
we
him,
were teammates.
Yes.
You know,
He was your
my guy.
You were the main man. He was your number 2. Let's get
Who was the starter? Who was the starter?
Yes, I was the starter.
Ah, yes.
So, but where he was one of the few that actually was a member of both Barcelona and Real Madrid. So he kind of was this figure that was able to bring both sides together, where, let's say now you're in the camp and you've got the manager who's already been named as the Real Madrid coach. The Barcelona players are looking over there going, well, the Real Madrid players are getting more playing time and he's coming in as a sub and he's not and he's starting, and then it would draw up this big controversy where...
So it's the right decision to sack your mate.
I think it's a terrible decision from Real Madrid to make the decision when they did to name Lopetegui.
But he made the decision as well, didn't he?
Well, I agree. And it's tough because on one hand you look at it and you go, I get this opportunity to go coach at Real Madrid. And then on the other hand, you're going, well, but I am the Spanish national team manager, and can I not just get the World Cup over with and then take the job? But Real Madrid doesn't work that way. Real Madrid is like, we're the center of the footballing universe, and we're going to name our coach when we name our coach.
The more I think about it, the more, if Lopetegui was the manager, I still think they'd win the World Cup. Now he's not the manager, and Hierro is in charge. I don't think they're going to win the World Cup.
So if you were head of the Spanish FA...
I've changed my mind on it. Yeah,
You seem to be repeating yourself on this quite a lot. You
what?
may have told us that several times already in this particular show.
No, but I think they've made the wrong
Steve
decision.
Nicolaitis.
I think he's probably made the
Spain
wrong
going to win the World
decision.
Cup.
He was too hasty.
Who was?
The person who sacked Lopetegui.
Has Casey not got a point, though, in that you always say don't give players excuses? You're
They've got another excuse now. But I'm saying
you're
if
giving them
Lopetegui was still the manager, they'd win the World Cup.
Well, what choice does those Rubiales, the Spanish Federation president, have when, if all that we've heard is that this negotiations was going on behind his back, that he knew nothing about this, that the Federation knew nothing about this, and that they were only informed 5 minutes before a press release was coming out? What else is he supposed to do?
But we also heard, he didn't say it today, but the captain, Ramos, was saying he was lobbying for him to stay. He wanted Lopetegui to stay. And if the players wanted them, they were all combined, they were a good unit, and the manager carried on. We've seen other managers. People say it's not the same as Antonio Conte. It's not the same as Van Gaal when they were managers of the national team and were going to another job at the end of it. But I think it's similar to that. It might not be quite the same, but I think they should have kept.
But it was the way he went about it.
It was the way he went about it. I can understand that.
Antoine Griezmann's video. Would you have done that, Craig, when you moved Celtic to Derby? Here it is. Here's my big decision.
Might have done if there'd been the technology around then. May have stood in front of the mirror, licked myself for about an hour and a half, you know.
Ah, beautiful.
And
What a lovely thought that is.
It's like that.
I'm eating myself, you know, and told myself how great it was, and then strung it out for a couple of weeks.
That's weird.
And then I might have concentrated on the World Cup, which is just around the corner, which might be of some importance.
It is. The first tweet is towards you, Craig.
It's Saudi Arabia, rubbish.
It is. 2018 World Cup after Saudi Arabia's performance today. Would love to hear Craig Burley rightly rant about this.
Shall I do a boiling point on it?
Well, it does say hashtag boiling point.
Well, I'm out of time now.
All right, okay then.
But it's, you know, we have talked about it.
4 years' time, isn't it? There's been 48 teams.
It's going to be diluted.
Yes.
Big style. Diluted.
This person wanted a rant. I feel like you're just over it.
This is
He's saving himself
for
the boiling
point.
Well, I can't change it, can I?
Robbo, any positives about 2018 World Cup?
Not really, no. As we saw today, Saudi Arabia weren't good enough, and there's going to be lots of teams that won't be good enough in the next World Cup. Well, when it goes to 48 teams, it's not the right decision. You need the quality in there rather than mediocrity.
Who'd win between the US and Saudi Arabia?
Oh, US.
Oh,
Hey, good performance.
Who would be the goalkeeper, though?
The kid did great against France.
Haters. Not haters, other than the fact that Saudi Arabia is in the World Cup and the US are not. But that's.
I said now. You didn't say 6 months ago when they finished qualifying.
what's this?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Panama is in and the US are not. That's fact.
Yeah, see how Panama get on. Right, what's this? Show me this tweet, because I think it's printed out weird.
Lee?
Predict the result of the opening game in 2026.
Oh, who's playing in it?
Well, so it's going to be the US.
Or
Canada or Mexico.
How are they going to do that?
But they still haven't made a decision if those three countries are going to automatically.
Well, they've got it, surely.
Well, you would think so, but that decision hasn't been made yet.
So 3 CONCACAF teams would automatically be in the World Cup?
Yes.
Well, and then they're talking up to.
That means that they get 6.5 places.
Places.
While CONMEBOL,
Maybe get another half.
come on.
remember there's 48 teams.
Oh, great. Fantastic. That makes it even better.
Venezuela still won't
Oh,
qualify.
hey, there it is.
Hatred between you two at the moment, isn't it?
That's all right. Come down and qualify with real teams.
I'm going to say the opening game will be Canada versus the Galapagos Islands.
All right, good.
That's my. Galapagos Islands are on the up. Getting better. It's an all-inclusive world now. Just got to bring football around the world. That's what people
Right.
want.
I mean,
Where is the Galapagos Islands?
part of Ecuador.
Near just where is it?
Part of Ecuador.
Where?
It's off of the coast of Ecuador.
South America.
Yeah, well, I couldn't understand what he said. It was just say it again.
Oh, I could.
Ecuador.
Ecuador, yes.
Well, why
I'm
you
merely saying it correctly.
Why are you
but
saying that in Italian?
Oh, Ecuador.
Part of Italy, isn't it?
Right.
Robbo, can Bernd Leno solve Arsenal's goalkeeping problems? Or should Arsenal go for England's number 2 goalkeeper, Jack Butland?
I would go for Jack Butland if you were looking at those 2 goalkeepers, but Leno, I'm not sure, is a fantastic goalkeeper. We've seen Karius come to the Premier League and not do particularly well.
Who's your
Butland-
goalkeeper at the moment? Czech.
Not my goalkeeper, Arsenal's goalkeeper is
Ospina.
Petr Cech.
And
Ospina.
Czech's going to leave?
Petr Cech hasn't played particularly well, looks slightly over the hill, and Ospina I think is a decent goalkeeper, but I think they're looking for a number 1. Butland could fit the bill.
Do you like them again now that he's gone?
I will observe them with. I don't want them to lose quite as much as I did before.
Did you get
In fact, I might
invited
quite
to?
like them. I quite
Did
like
you get invited round Arson's house or anything? Just for.
Funnily enough, I didn't go to the farewell game, that last game.
Were you not invited?
No, I couldn't understand it. I was most
Aren't you
disappointed.
banned from the stadium?
I am banned from the stadium. No, I'm banned from the perimeter of the stadium.
Do you think that surely has been lifted now?
I'm not so sure. I think they hold grudges.
And you don't.
That's a man who speaks
don't.
of experience.
Player of the year twice running, and then I'm banned from the stadium.
Oh dear.
Unai Emery's going round He's going around the Emirates now telling stewards, if you see this bald guy, not allowed in.
If he starts talking about wing backs to you.
I know, I praised Unai Emery when he was at, not so much PSG, Sevilla, he might like me.
No. No.
On a scale of LeBron to Neymar, how much of an idiot is Griezmann? So LeBron did something similar, yeah, the decision.
Right.
And why did
He's gonna
everyone hate that?
You're going to take his skills?
Because of this similar scenario.
Right.
Now, the difference, I guess, with the LeBron one is that it benefited the Boys and Girls Club, that the local Boys and Girls Clubs, and people didn't pay attention to that. They just paid attention to the fact that LeBron was sort of loving himself and holding everybody hostage with this decision.
Right.
Aside from that, Griezmann is in a different level just because of the fact that you have the World Cup in front of you, and he's holding all of us hostage to listen to that nonsense.
Don't listen to it. Ignore.
Good advice for the show, of course, which is with you throughout the World Cup. You can join us on ESPN Plus daily.